chew the fat for a minute while people gather.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just keep. Yeah.
All right, let me know if you need me. I'm out.
Great. Thank you. Right. Yeah, but it's been. I had you on my stream, or no, it wasn't a stream. It was we had a quick interview, like 5 years
Yeah,
ago.
man.
I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
man. That's when I just started, bro. Yeah, that was crazy. I remember that. I was in my old house, man.
Yeah.
Like in the kitchen. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy, man.
That was. I think that was literally 2019, which is insane.
Yeah, it would have been like, yeah, like Popular Front would have been like probably not even a year old by that point. Crazy,
Really?
long time ago. Yeah, man. We started it in 2018, so it would have been like a year or maybe under a year old at that point.
What was the? Because you were working for Vice before that, and then
Yeah, I worked
what was
for
the
Vice,
progression?
yeah.
What was the progression from
Oh,
Vice to you were arrested in Turkey, and then after that starting Popular Front? What was that like?
yeah, well, I mean, I worked for Vice for a while still after getting arrested and like getting back. And then I don't know, man, like it just they when Vice sold Vice News where I was working, when they sold it to HBO, it just became very weird and the kind of like makeshift DIY kind of meritocracy style of it just went to shit. And they brought in like very weird people. I remember them bragging. They were like, "We've got this New York Times guy coming in to work at Vice News," and I was like, "Wasn't the whole point of Vice News to be like out of that? You know what I mean?" So it got very weird, and I still worked there for a while, and I wanted to get like some good credits for HBO, so I did a few films for them. But I got to a point where like our old boss at Vice News was great, and they put this new guy in, Neil, who's a fucking idiot. And then I was like, yeah, I can't work with this guy. So I don't know, I kind of left. They wanted me to leave. And then I still freelanced for them for a bit, but eventually I was like, this is terrible. And that's when I started Popular Front. I was like, journalism sucks, like, as an industry, like, it's very difficult. And I thought, I'll try this one last thing. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll maybe, like, go and do something else. But thank God it worked because I don't think I'd be much good at anything else. There's nothing else that I think would interest me as much, you know? So I'm glad it worked out. But yeah, it was 2018 we started it. So it's obviously Popular Front still ongoing. It's growing rapidly, and now we've got this other project, Away Days, and we're kind of just getting to a point where we're going to do both in tandem, which is a lot of work, but also like if you kind of just commit to what you're doing, as you can get stuff done. It really isn't that difficult as long as you have like a decent team around you, and you can bring in enough money to like support the projects. I think it works. Sometimes like people have said, oh, like, maybe scale back because then you'd have like a load more money and stuff. But it's like, well, I'd only want to then go and do what I'm doing anyway. You know what I mean? So I took the risk with the White Days. I was like, fuck it, let's just do this new project I wanting to do for years. Let me just throw everything at it. And with my friend and like collaborator Johnny Pickup, and we both just said, okay, let's go. And like me and him have made no money. We've lost a load of money on it now, but it might grow and it might pay off. And our thoughts were, if it doesn't, we're never gonna regret doing this. So super happy it's worked out, man. Yeah.
So Away Days it's a series, and it's like you describe it as like underground documentary films, basically, where you're going and the most recent episode that you put out was you went to a favela and you talked to I forget the name of the gang there that's like governs the area.
Yeah, well, that one was CV, or like Red Command, but it's like Comando Vermelho in Brazilian Portuguese. But yeah, man, yeah. So Popular Front is war and conflict, and that's great. We cover that. It's a more of a like scrappy, like alternative news-ish kind of style, which is great. We love it, and Popular Front is certainly going nowhere. We've already put out 2 docs this year. We got the 3rd issue of the magazine finally coming. We're putting out podcasts like about 5-6 a month. So it's all going well. But I've always wanted to do like a project where it's almost like you're just covering counterculture, subcultures, underground activity, like away from war and conflict, because after doing it, I've been going to war now for like over 10 years, and I was like, I need a change, man, and I need to do something that's different because I'm not just interested in war and conflict. I've got many, many, many different interests, and that has always been something I've liked, like kind of underground access to stuff. So I was like, let's just do it, man, and I mean, we just hit 100,000 views on the first episode, the Brazil one that you just said, favela government. So it looks like it's going pretty well. And the idea of that was like, I kind of looked at, there's this kind of like YouTuber thing of like, I went to a dangerous place for a week, you know, and it's like, okay, whatever, but like,
it's
I realized
clickbait.
those,
but it's good clickbait when you're
it is,
like,
right? Right, exactly. I was about to say, I realized those were getting crazy views.
Yeah.
But when you watch it, it's just empty. It's just like, whoa, we're in a dangerous place. So I was like, well, let's try and take the idea of that, like we go to the spot, but let's do actual proper reporting, you know? Like, for example, on the YouTube title on favela government, it's like, you know, the hidden parts of the gang-led favela, which, you know, technically it's true, but it's kind of a like pull you in kind of the vibe. But when you actually watch it, it's, you know, even loads of Brazilians have said like this is the best coverage they've seen of the favelas. I think we're very fair between criminal gangs, police, criminal police unit. You know, like there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot to it, you know. It's not just bad criminals, good cops, bad cops, good criminal, whatever, you know, like or good cops, bad criminals. It's I don't know, it's very there's a lot of history, you know, to why it's like that.
What was your takeaway? Because you showed like they were helping kinda with, but they made a gym, but then at the same time they said that they weren't taxing the people. Mention how they were taxing stuff.
Right.
Which was your takeaway?
I'll be honest with you, my takeaway was that most people didn't really seem that scared of the gang. You know, they genuinely didn't seem like terrified. Like lads would walk by with AK and whatever, and people just kind of seemed okay. They were like, whatever. But certainly everybody said they were scared of the cops, you know. And but my kind of theory is that's because, you know, no matter where you live, you're kind of the idea is that the cops will save you or whatever, like, you know, in a society that works properly. So I guess especially where we were in Falet Fogatero, like a few years ago, a military police unit came in and executed 13 men, all unarmed, all handcuffed, and they threw them in a load of bins, like in the favela, just left them, and they got away with it. Like, you know, all charges were dropped, no problem. So if you live in that area and you see that happen, I guess you would end up being a lot more scared of the cops because that's like state sanctioned massacre, right? Whereas if you've got a gang and they do a massacre, well, yeah, you're not going to be that surprised. They're a gang. So I do think there's a kind of mental thing there. But at the same time, you know, a lot of what CV does there is real. You know, like they built that sports hall, and some of the gang members bring their kids there because they don't want their kids to end up in the gang life, which is ironic because they're in the gang, but at the same time they probably know like, yeah, this is no life, you know. But then you do have other parts where, you know, they're just doing mad crime, you know, and just they don't give a shit. They'll take what they want from anybody. So I don't know. My kind of takeaway was that if you look at the government and then you look at the gang, they kind of operate similarly, right? Sometimes they do stuff for the people, sometimes they take from the people. And I mean, a gang is a gang. So when you think of it like, well, at least the gang sometimes build stuff, at least sometimes they provide. Whereas the government, you shouldn't see it like that because the government, that's all they're meant to do, right? So, you know, a government shouldn't sometimes do massacres and stuff like this. So I do think that in a way, the two kind of fed off of each other, and yeah, it helped me make sense of it all. But it's a very, very sad place as well, like the favela. We didn't want to do this thing of like even the color grade, like, you know, people always present like Brazil in like oversaturated high tones, and it just didn't feel like that, you know. It's a sad place to be, you know, and I kind of wanted to put that across in every way.
How long did you spend developing this series and working on it?
Oh, don't ask me that, man.
I'm actually very
So
curious
everybody,
about. I'm actually really curious. I'm going to try and take you through as much through the process of getting something like this done. Because I mean,
yeah,
like
man,
you said,
no.
I have done something like this before, but not to this scale. And also, I didn't get the same kind of access to people I think that you've managed to get.
Well, yeah, I mean, like your last video though, like, you know, a long process, you know that a good project properly, like what you're doing, like you're actually on the ground doing stuff. Like I don't mean to disrespect anybody on YouTube because all I really watch are like video essays, but there is a difference between a video essay and a documentary, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll see someone say, oh, this is a documentary, and I watch it and I'm like, well, it's not. Like, it's just a video essay. It's great, but it's not a documentary. you know, I could churn out 50 video essays probably a year, but like you can't churn out 50 documentaries a year. They cost money, they take time. And so with Away Days, I guess like 2023, really, we had I kind of put the idea down on paper, the kind of name worked out, and got Johnny on board, and we kind of produced it together. So then we hit the ground running. We started filming straight away 2024. And I guess we realized as we were going that like the more and more we were doing, we were getting better access, and we realized people actually really do want this. You know, we created a lot of hype very quickly, just releasing little snippets of things we've been filming. And over time we were like, right, this is actually like could really pop off. So we just decided to kind of stop rushing it and just really put our time into it. And the first episode, I edited the whole thing myself, like 99% of it. And I was like,
well done.
yeah, man, that's what took a long time. Because firstly, I used to use Final Cut.
Yeah.
And Johnny was like, no, we have to use Premiere, which I hated him for, but he was right. Like, you know, there's so many things you can do on that. And, you know, it became a lot easier for me in the end. So I learned Premiere from scratch. And yeah, basically I edited the whole thing. I like, yeah, I went nuts on it. And I wanted it to be the kind of the baseline, right? Like I don't want to start like, well, this will be good enough. Like I was like, no, the first step has to be like that is Away Days, right? It can't be like, you know, like Popular Front, we started like very scrappy because we had no money whatsoever. So it was fine to just learn as we went, you know, and you'll see the progress keep going. But with Away Days, I mean, you know, as I was talking to Tommy G, actually, like really nice guy, and he was like, bro, this should be on Netflix. And I was like, well, this is better than Netflix. Like the quality on Netflix is actually mostly terrible. So I wanted it to be like the sort of thing like this could go on HBO. And I really believe it could. You watch that doc, like definitely the color grade is professional, the sound, everything, the edit. So not to big myself up too much, but you know, definitely someone else could have done it quicker. But the way I wanted it, it did take a long time. And we did actually have a different episode planned for the first. And the more access we got, we realized we're gonna have to like wait and wait for some other stuff to come through. So we were like, you know what, we've got all the Brazil stuff, let's just put that out first. And our music guy Sam Black, he made a really good point. He said, look, people are usually used to seeing you in war. Okay, this isn't war as such, but it's kind of like a good go-between, right? Like going from like the war, the battlefield, to then like kind of a narco conflict, I guess, in the favela, and then like anything else that we do will be very different. But
it fits.
so yeah, I was like,
Definitely.
yeah, let's do it.
It goes along with your brand so far as well.
Mm.
I'm wondering. Okay, so if you choose to go to Brazil to cover the favelas, how do you get in contact with like most of them speak Portuguese? You have to, so you know other people who put you in contact with them. Is that how it works generally?
So yeah, basically, man, it's a long story. It took a while. Like we had this idea for about 3 years before we did it. So a good friend of mine, Thiago Dizani, he's a photographer, artist, does all sorts of cool stuff. He's from Brazil. And he was telling me all like these interesting things about CV, this like specific gang that we went with. And I was like, that's like compared to all the others, I just found it very interesting. For example, there used to be this thing where CV would only wear Nike, and then another gang would only wear Adidas, you know, like strange kind of things like that. And I was like, that's pretty interesting. So we were looking at it for Popular Front initially, and then I was like, it's not really a war like that, you know, it doesn't really, it could kind of make sense, but I felt like it would be shoehorning it a little bit. So we didn't think about it for a while. And then I come with Away Days, and I was like, Thiago, like this is perfect for Away Days. We want to do a lot of gang kind of stuff. And so he lived in the area like where this one favela he knew about, but you know, he's not from there. He didn't have the access like that. But we knew a guy who used to be in the gang, but he's now a photographer, right? And he, you know, it's the kind of gang where if you go and be like, look, I got this idea, I want to do this, I'm gonna leave, they're not gonna kill you. You know, maybe they will if you're a certain level, I don't know, but like whatever this guy was at, he was like a foot soldier, you know, like running around with like, you know, drugs or whatever. And he must have said like, look, I'm going to leave. And then he left and whatever. And so he put us in touch with like the correct people to kind of get permission, if you know what I mean. So my friend Thiago and then this other fella went up there, and they basically just spoke to the head of the favela, and they were like, this is what these guys want to do. Here's the stuff they've done before. And he actually liked the idea. You know, we said from the get-go, we want to show what it's like because you guys are essentially running a mini government here. We don't just want to be like, oh, gang members, you know. And he realized that we had like an actual plan. And he was like, you know what, like, yeah, actually, that's interesting. Okay, we'll give you permission. You just have to have like a guy that will walk around with you, so you don't get shot or robbed or whatever. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
turned up on, I flew over, and then me and Louis Hollis, who was our shooter on this, he's like part of our team, and we went over there, and it was kind of, to be honest, it was a bit of a risk because we didn't know if they were going to let us film for more than a day, you know. And obviously, there's
Yeah.
nothing we could have made in a day. But I was like, I'm sure once they see what we're about, they'll be cool. And they were, you know. After the day, they were like, "No, you guys are cool. Actually, like, you can stay. Like, we understand. Like that you're not kind of out here to rat us out, like, which we're not, you know, like, it's a gang, whatever, but I'm not the cops, you know, and I'm not, and the idea with the way days is not to be this like moral compass for the viewer. You just watch it and you get from it what you get from it, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, if you need a reporter to tell you that like extortion and killing is bad, you know, there's no documentary is going to help you. So we went out with that, and yeah, man, and by the end of it, they didn't want us to leave. Like, this one guy, he wasn't in CV, but like this one guy from the area that was like helping us out, like, get around, he kept taking us to different places to, you know, to film stuff, and we were like, this is no good. Like, we've already got this. And we realized in the end, he just wanted to hang out. So
Yeah.
we were just like, in the end, we went for dinner. We were just hanging out in the favela. And, you know, you get to see different sides of people like that. And I think through that, there was a lot of goodwill. You know, they realized that we don't want to demonize them, but they also kind of respected that we're not like sucking up to them. We're not like,
Yeah.
yeah, they think
Well,
you're
that's
great.
the
You know,
that's the
no one's
that's
going
the
to fall for
thing.
that. You know, it's
Yeah.
stupid.
And I've heard, well, there's some documentary film, they'll try and do that. They'll try and suck up to people, and then they'll like, I'm gonna do what you want and stuff, and but with no intention of actually, you know,
And
making
they,
the
they
puff
see through
piece.
it, man.
And
These
yeah.
guys are like in the street. They live on the street.
Yeah.
They live in the craziest place like ever in Brazil. You think they're gonna like care? You know, if some like
No.
white guy turns up and is like, "I think you're cool," they're gonna be like, "Why? Like, you weirdo." Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of reporters from a lot of big mainstream places have really messed certain things up over the years by feeding people a dream. And then when
Mm.
you get there and they ask you this, and you're like, I can't do that. I can't give you this. That's not right. And then you realize that like someone from CNN or whatever has gone somewhere and basically just lied to people for access and then fucked off home, you know,
What do
whereas
you
we
what do you
don't
mean
do that.
like what kind of dream would they be selling them? Like what kind
I
of
mean, you know, they'll say like, oh yeah, we could like we could help you like maybe get like a visa in England or
Yeah.
whatever, you know. Just even in conversation, you know, like if someone says that to me, I'm like, I'll be honest, I wouldn't know how to do that. Like, I would vouch for you as like a decent person if that was part of your process, but I'm certainly not the guy that can start that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you do notice it, you know, especially with like careerist types, you know,
Mm.
and you'll see them at these fucking awards and they win all their awards, and it's like, I know 100 stories about this person, about some fixer they left behind, and yeah, it sucks, man, but we don't do that. We have a very good, you know, like, I mean, we can go straight back to the favela now if we want, you know. The boss man saw the doc, perhaps didn't like some of the stuff we said, but, you know, he
Yeah.
respected that it was equal, and it is what it is. So not to say that, I mean, we're outsiders, don't get me wrong. I'm not deluding myself that like, yeah, I'm cool with the boys. Like, it's not like that. But at the same time, there's some level of like, you know, mutual respect, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because even if it is a gang, even if it is like crazy times or whatever, there is a lot to say about doing what you say you'll do. I think that means a lot to people, you know, and as it should. But a lot of people don't actually do what they say or mean what they do. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so how many times has it happened before where you've gone somewhere for to shoot, especially to a different country, and then, you know, you only get that one day, or you don't get any access at all, and then you're there with your cameraman and all this stuff, and you spent thousands of dollars presumably, and with nothing basically.
Need to think. Has that happened? Not really like that. It did happen once where when I was working for Vice, um, and which country was it? My God, one of the post-Soviet countries. I can't remember which country now. Um, and we went there. It looked like there was going to be a kind of like Ukraine style type revolution was happening. And so we went there, and you know, like, I really kind of really bothered the kind of editor to be like, yeah, like, I'm telling you, like, we're gonna get ahead of this story. There's all these tents are being set up in the square, like it's gonna be the same as like you know, like the Ukraine revolution, on the Maidan, and we're gonna be ahead of it. And when we got there, like, you know, he begrudgingly sent us, and when we got there, all the tents were empty, and it
Oh
was
man.
basically like, yeah, it was like some like, and all the press had been just lying about stuff because he owned half this like Russian oligarch owned half of the media. Um, and yeah, so when we got there, like there was no one in there. And basically, this political party kind of like set it up to look like people were camping out in favor of whatever he was doing. And so when we got there, we were just like, "What?" Like there was just
But
like
that's
barely
a
anything to
story
do.
itself, though. It's kind of
Well, you would think that, but it was, it kind of, yeah, but essentially, it's like it's basically a sentence. Oh, actually, it's
yeah,
not legit. Do you
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's
No,
very
I get
difficult
that.
to build something big off of it, you know. And
Uh,
we did try that. Don't get me wrong. We like really tried that, and we realized like, yeah, this is just, yeah, nothing is here. So we kind of flew back, and I remember I was really ill as well. I had like flipping tuberculosis. So I just felt like the biggest idiot. But
Jeez.
you know, it happens. It happens. There's nothing you can really do about that.
I mean, at least it was on Vice's dime at that time.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, if
rather
that
than your
happened, oh
own.
man. Oh
Yeah,
boy, that's the thing. Like, if that happened with like something I'm doing now, it would be so brutal.
yeah.
It would
I
suck.
I kind of got kind of close to that at one point where there was someone I was talking to for months.
What happened?
Well, no, I mean it worked out, but I wasn't sure for like at least like a day or two that they were gonna meet me.
Yeah,
Right.
you get that
Or
feeling right, and you're like, oh no.
yeah, yeah, and there was like I basically I invited 5 people, a cameraman and sound guy and everything to come, and
Oh
we're
no.
there, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in the Airbnb, and it's like, oh shit, we're not sure. I don't know
yeah,
if you ever seen that Louis Theroux documentary where he tries to go meet Michael Jackson.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's just like he's stuck in hotel rooms trying to call,
Yeah, completely fails. Yeah.
yeah,
The
Michael
worry
Jackson's
I have
people.
is
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
worry. The way he made that interesting though. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he
It's
did.
like
Well, it revealed a
I don't
lot
think I'm a
about
guy that could do that.
you know.
No, I think it would just be me sitting there like stroppy on the phone, like, what the fuck? Like
Yeah,
he's a funny guy, you know, like he's quite funny and he's like a lot more calm. I think it would just be me getting annoyed,
yeah, yeah,
for like
yeah.
12 hours.
A different
Yeah.
temperament. He's
Yeah.
well, it revealed a lot about Michael Jackson's family
Yes,
and like
yes.
the kind
Man,
of
this is an
little
old film. I remember this.
yeah, yeah, and how it was Joe Jackson or it was Michael Jackson's dad like was basically the whole thing for people because it's stream right now. The- Louis Theroux is a documentary filmmaker from the BBC, and he tried to film with Michael Jackson in the early 2000s, and he couldn't meet Michael Jackson. So he tried to go through his family, and his family are all of these kind of hanger-on people who are using Michael Jackson's fame basically to make any penny they can. So it reveals so much about that, like the weird side of his family, where they're like, you know, they're kind of like
I think it was
gangsters.
a much better film, like than what it would have been.
Yeah, the Martin Bashir was because Martin Bashir was doing a documentary on Michael Jackson at the
Yeah.
time. That's why Louis Theroux couldn't get his
Yeah,
film
that's
done.
it. Have you seen the Bashir one? It's kind of
Yeah,
weird.
I saw it when I
Yeah,
was
it's
like a
very
kid, but
yeah,
I
same. Yeah,
yeah,
same.
no,
I rewatched it again a few years ago, and it's very weird, man. Like it's some of it doesn't feel real even. Like I'm like, is this set up or you know? But like the vibe you just get is for me anyway. It was like Michael Jackson was a fucking weird guy. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
That goes without saying
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah. And
Is that
I'm
the
not
one
even
where
talking about.
the empty grocery store scene is from? You know that famous
I
clip
think
of Michael?
so.
Yeah, where he goes
It's
into
the
the
one where
grocery.
he goes to like an antique store or something, or he goes to Harrods or something and just buys everything as well. Like it's
Oh,
nuts.
yes, I remember that. Yeah,
He's
okay.
like that, yeah, and then you realize I don't know. He spent like almost like $500,000 or something in like 5 minutes. Like it's just
Yeah,
like wow.
no, it's
Yeah,
insane, insane.
yeah.
Which you flying to different countries and trying to make films, you probably wish you had a lot of money, right?
Bro, I
To
was about
do
to say,
that
imagine
stuff.
if he had that money.
Well, that's I think that's the
Yeah.
main thing. That's why even me, like I haven't really done any on the ground stuff in like a year, over a year now. And I've only done it a couple times actually. I've done it like maybe 3 or 4 times by this point. Most of my other videos are just like video essays or You know, like
I remember we were talking about this years ago, and I was like, you should go and do it. Like, and when you do it, I think it's really good, man. Like, you have like a good vibe. I think there's not everyone can do stuff in front of camera, and I know a lot of people don't like the way I do things in front of camera. I don't blame them. Like, I watch myself sometimes, like, God, I'm annoying, but like some people do like it. You know what I mean? Luckily, but I do think you got like a good vibe with it, man. But it's hard to do right without the cash. Like, it's so expensive. I don't think people realize. Like, there's ways to mitigate the cost, but only to a degree. Especially now, like when I started Popular Front, it was way easier to travel for cheaper and stuff. But since COVID, just everything is out the window in Europe anyway. Like everything is so expensive. Travel it's crazy, man.
I imagine also after Brexit.
Yeah, that affected things quite a lot. But even then, not like it did with COVID, man. It was like that really messed things up, just economically, just everything, just for whatever reason, I don't know, but very annoying. And the problem we have is like, so luckily with us, like, you know, Johnny, who I'm doing it with, it's like he is one of the best cameraman in the UK, in Europe, by a mile. He's incredible, and we're friends. Like, we work very well together. Like, just because you're a good shooter or a good cameraman doesn't necessarily mean you'll be good at any project, right? But he is just, you know, like, it's like my Cody. Like, it just works, you know. Like, I know if there's trouble, he's got my back, I've got his back. Like, it's been tried and tested. You know what I mean? We got chased down by the French police while filming this series, and like, yeah, we just had each other's back the whole time. And he was like even filming, like, very cool scene. It will come out. Good. But anyway, yeah, it was like, you know, when you look back and you're like, I can't believe he actually filmed this. Like, what a legend. Like, you know, well, I'm just like running away, like trying to get over spike fences and shit.
Well, that's what you want from a cameraman, right?
That's what you want, man. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, though, like, for him, like, he's not making any money, right? So it's like, I can pay for our flights, and we go and stay in like some slum. Like, we stayed in some like mad places just to be able to like afford what we're doing.
Yeah.
But you know, once the flights are paid for, then it's just like we just got to eat, right? And we sleep on like some little shithole. So it's not that bad in that respect, but the hope is that it works out, and then, you know, he will get his money and I'll get my money, and everything will pay off, which it might not, but I think it's worth the risk. But that's one thing, to have like a good team like that. But if you're just kind of trying to do things here and there, and it's not like a whole project, it's very difficult to say to someone, look, just come and work for free if you want like good quality. Exactly, right? Like, they gotta believe in it as much as you do. Luckily, the team we put together with the Way Days is pretty much the same team we've always had with Popular Front, bar like one or two new people we've brought in have the same ethos as we do. But that's why it works, you know. And also, I had like 2 like debt convictions. Like, it's called a CCJ in England. Basically just means you didn't pay your bills on time. And so when I was a kid, I had 2 of them, and they came off, like, they vanish after like 7 years or something. So just at the start of Away Days, those fell off my credit score, right? So my credit score went like way up because I had been paying my bills on time afterwards. And so I just went and got 3 credit cards. I was like, fuck it.
Well, you funded it off of 3 credit cards. Yeah.
Huh?
You funded the series off of 3 credit cards?
Bro, literally, we funded it off of 3 credit cards.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we got, you know, well, it won't be for me in a couple years.
I bet, but hopefully it pays. You know, Kevin Smith did that. That's how he funded Clerks. Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that. That's
he
cool,
funded
man.
off $20,000 of credit card debt. Someone in the comments here asks, has a question for you here. I just saw it. Where are they? Oh, 09A. Ask about the 09A. I'm not sure what the.
Yeah, so it's like this. Everybody's like super finds it so crazy when they find out about it, because it doesn't seem real, but it is real. It's a right-hand path occult movement based in, or like, it kind of came from England, but it's now all over the world. They're satanic. They're like Satanists, but not in the like, you know, that like cringe, like edgy atheism, Satanism. They're not that. They're like, they believe in like the demons and stuff like that. And yeah, it's essentially a neo-Nazi, or at least a neo-Nazi occultist kind of movement, which it started off in England in the kind of 70s and 80s. They claim it's a lot older, but it isn't. By this one fella, David Mayat, who he was like a neo-Nazi, then he became like a jihadi extremist.
Oh my god.
Now he claims, yeah, right? Like, he's doing a lot of weird shit.
Oh,
and
this
now
is
he
a
runs like, this thing.
stable individual. But go on, sorry.
Yeah, right. And then he
Yeah.
runs this kind of thing, but it's moved all over the world. You know, they've got like a ton of murders under their belt now, but it's not necessarily. It's almost like an ideology as such, or like a kind of movement, as opposed to like a group that you join, if that makes sense. Although, like, you do join it kind of spiritually, you know, you know, there is like kind of rules to it, and there's rites that you have to do, which like 99% of people that say they're on A don't actually do. I
Yeah.
personally, haven't read all their literature, don't believe anyone has done all the rites ever. You know, there's this thing we have to like sleep in the desert in Egypt for a week, was like no one's done
Oh,
that.
okay. Oh, yeah. Good luck. Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you know, they're highly dangerous, and they believe in this kind of anything that's taboo in society, they believe is like it's almost good to embrace. So a lot of
Oh,
them just they embrace like pedophilia, like, you know,
yeah.
neo-Nazis. They're disgusting. They say they don't, but we have evidence dating back to like honestly like early
Have they
90s that
have they
that
killed
show it's
people?
true. Yeah, several. So there's been a few, like in Russia, there was 3 or maybe 4 now human sacrifices, which the people actually got
Jeez.
arrested. Yeah. Doesn't sound real, right? Because you do
No.
get this satanic panic stuff, like, and the problem is you get these weird, like, kind of podcasty grifters that will make out like Onane responsible for all these things. But they are definitely responsible for at least a dozen, you know, or at least adherents of O9A have done the killings, if you know what I mean. So
Uh-huh.
it's a tricky one, man. It's hard to explain succinctly. Like me and a good friend of mine, Victor Mihail, we've had this like idea to like make a documentary or kind of like big kind of book on it, but the more you find out, the deeper it goes, you know. And like the FBI, the CIA, like are involved, not in the way of like every conspiracy theorist thinks, but like literally one of the kind of main guys in the US is a like FBI informant, you know. So and he's
Oh, okay, yeah.
O9A guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he believed in
Yeah.
it. The thing is, people think they get it twisted. They think he almost like was told to go and do it, but he wasn't. He believes in it, and he does believe it. But also, the FBI are like, right, well, you know, carry on doing that bullshit, but we need you for this, this, and this, because it became militant and people started dying. You know, I mean, Atomwaffen Division, that, you know, that like really hardcore
Yeah.
neo-Nazi
Yeah.
militant group, their underlying like ideology was like O9A shit. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
they
killed
even
people.
started bringing they've
Yeah.
killed like probably like
3
3 or 4
people.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you did the you found their Telegram or Discord or something. You
Yeah, man, yeah, we were in there, like, their whole, like, Discord chat, and, you know, we found out I was the guy that found out that, like, this guy, Woodward killed, this young lad, Blaze Bernstein, and, you know, at the time, he was arrested, and they were just like, "We don't really know how this happened," but then I found out it was essentially, like, a kind of far-right killing, you know? Like, this guy
mm.
hated Jews, and he hated gay people, and Blaze Bernstein was both, and after the killing, you know, Woodward was on like the Discord being like, "Hey guys, love you all," like, "See ya," sort of thing, you know.
Mm.
It was really fucked up. And one interesting case, a part of that case that often gets overlooked, is that Woodward found this guy on Grindr, so everybody, or one of their maps, like, you know, a dating app or whatever. So he always, people theorize that it was a gay killing or like whatever, or but right,
Yeah.
but I mean, maybe
Oh,
there's
but
some of that to it, but I fully believe it was like a kind of like neo-Nazi ideological thing, because even in his bio, Woodward
even
had said that he loved hunting, right? He never been hunting in his life, you know. So he was literally hunting, right, for someone, in my opinion,
oh.
to kill. Yeah, and he went and met this kid and stabbed him to death and buried him in a shallow grave. Perhaps he did have some like, you know, kind of you know, gay feelings in himself for this guy, but I would only argue that those feelings, which he obviously would have hated because he was very against, you know, freedom for
Yeah.
anybody that didn't think the way he did, it would have created some animosity and probably drive him towards this stuff, right? But yeah, those guys were fucked up. They started engaging in this like pedophilia stuff as well, especially the UK version of Atomwaffen, which was called Sonnenkrieg. They were kind of early on the whole like at 764 shit, you know, and they kind of push young girls into like abusing themselves and harming themselves because they
Okay.
blackmail them.
Yeah.
It's just the most disgusting thing you've ever heard in your life, bro. It's like, yeah. So you know, I cover some really, some really like cheerful topics, but
Yeah.
it's worth doing. It is worth doing, you know.
You ever get worried when you, especially there's certain topics I wouldn't cover, especially because I feel like I would I could easily be killed. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I
you know,
mean, I'll be honest. People think, I do think though, people think that you're more likely to get hurt for like Gatsu hit me up the other day about something,
yeah,
like, you know, that YouTuber. He's a great
yeah, I
guy. I
know,
love him,
yeah,
man.
he's yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
he's
like his
cool. Right? He's
channel a lot.
supported us from day one, bro. Yeah, he's sick.
Oh,
He's writing
really?
an article.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, he's writing an article for the next Popular Front magazine. He's great. But he like reached out to me and he was covering something. He's like, "Yo, do you think this will get me like assassinated?" And you know, I get his fear, like, but I was like, "Nah, man. Like, it's you can go close to the line of stuff. Like, the only reason that I think someone would come for you like that is if you kind of, I don't know, like destroyed somebody's business or you exposed something like really serious in
Yeah,
government, you know, like I think people have this idea now that because like, for example, the CIA used to do bad stuff, they somehow don't anymore. It's like, are you
yeah,
crazy? Like, of course they're still at it, you know, but so is every government. But no, I don't know, man. There's things I think like I wouldn't touch, maybe just purely for the fact of like, yeah, I don't want to like, I wouldn't be so much worried about like government stuff, more I don't know, say there's some like sketchy mafia or something like that, you know, like I mean, you can get killed fast doing that kind of thing. I wouldn't want to touch that really. I would say like there's, you know, like there was this famous reporter, I forget her surname, but her first name was Daphne, in Malta. And
hmm,
you know, she was exposing corruption with the government and the organized crime, and basically they blew her up in a car bomb, similar to the lady you did the film on. Yeah, of course I'm telling you, of course you know about this stuff. So yeah, so unfortunately, you know, that stuff does happen, and people braver than me will be covering it. But yeah, the neo-Nazi stuff, I had the police come to my house a few times being like, "Oh, we've seen like a credible threat online."
yeah,
You know, they have to let you know. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I seen it. Like, you know, like I was, you know, like I'm in the chat with like a pretend like fascist, like,
yeah.
you know, like Telegram sock to make sure, you know, to see what's happening. Then I see my own face pop up and it's like, we gotta kill him. I'm like, oh shit, Like, that
Oh,
sucks.
damn.
But
That must
I
have
mean,
been.
it's bad, but it's like, what can you do, man? If you don't, you know, like I got into this work, I know what I'm doing. You know, it's not like you can't complain that like you know, your actions have consequences essentially. So I kind of
Yeah,
just think, well, you know, I don't know. It is what it is. If someone comes, like, whatever, man. Like, I got my own kind of, no, I take my own precautions, but I think generally it's okay. I think the worst thing for me, more likely, is to like die in the war zone or something. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like,
Because you were, I saw you were, well, you were in Ukraine recently. Right? You were
yeah,
in
not
the
for a while, man. Not for a
channel.
while.
You were in a Channel 5 video. I randomly saw you. I'm like, it's
Yeah,
Jake. Yeah, you.
yeah, yeah. I
That
took them
was
out there, man. Yeah,
cool. Yeah. So,
that was
how
cool,
long
man.
were
Yeah,
you
that was a
there?
fun experience. Bro, I can't even remember. We were there for like a week, maybe,
Oh, yeah.
but we couldn't really go to like the front because, firstly, those guys had like never covered any war, and I was like, it will be pretty irresponsible
Yeah.
of me to take like unseasoned like guys straight to a front line when it was like very high point in the war. Like it was, you know, we were in Lviv and there was even a rocket attack in Lviv, which is pretty safe. And like I think the second night we were there, like a rocket hit somewhere, like, you know, so yeah, we spent most of it there. But like Andrew, like he basically wanted to do a kind of thing about like civilians just kind of live, and it was a really nice piece. I sent him this Away Days thing, and he ignored me. So we'll see if he ends up watching it. But yeah, that was a good thing we did. And then I went back then myself, and we made a thing with Popular Front. But I've definitely scaled back a little bit from the extreme frontline stuff. I mean,
Mm.
you know, I'm 35 now. I kind of, it's not like I have anything to prove. I did this for like 10 years. And I realized that actually there's a lot more stories and more interesting stuff a little bit further back from the front. You know,
Mm.
you get the same thing like every time. Like, don't get me wrong, I do think it's important to do the frontline reporting because you have to show, well, this is what the war looks like, you know, this is what's happening, like this is the young men that are fighting there. But I do realize that like there's only so much you get from that, you know. You don't need to be there for 6 weeks. I don't think so, you know. But yeah, I don't know. Also, I don't have the same nerve for it anymore, I'll be honest, man. Like when I was younger, I was like fearless, which is bad. You don't want to be fearless in
Mm.
a war. Like people that are fearless will get you killed, you know. Like there's a lot of people out there doing really silly stuff at the moment. But yeah, no, I think I learned a lot more, and with the learning you become a little bit more cautious, which is never a bad thing.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Some of the people doing silly stuff. Do you have anybody in mind? I'm wondering.
There's a lot of I mean, I can't think of the top of my head. Like I would name them as well because
You know
they're
the guy who
fucking
was
idiots.
It's not a war zone, but he went to Haiti. I think it was like last year, and he was. I think his name's Arab. That's literally his YouTube channel is just called Arab or something like that.
Okay.
Like captured by guerrillas in Haiti, and
Jeez, man.
yeah,
Yeah, like there's these people that just turn up places and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll be fine," and it's like it might be
yeah.
by some like but it
What
probably won't.
do you think of Lord Miles?
I don't like him, man. I
Yeah,
actually was gonna have him on Popular Front a long time ago.
yeah,
But then I actually found out about him. Like he has like this book deal with like a literal, and I'm not doing this in the like woke sense, like a
yeah,
literal neo-Nazi publishing house. Like he's involved in some weird stuff. And I was like, no, I don't want that on my radar. Also, I think a lot of what he's doing is like just bullshit as well. I think a lot of it's not even true.
mm,
And there's also this weird idea. It's like, oh yeah, you can just go there. It's like I don't think a lot of people realize what a lot of these YouTubers go on what's called a press tour.
yeah,
Like if you want, you can go. There's a guy that you can pay 10 grand to in Brazil right now that will take you to a favela that is kind of safe. Like that it's that's like the place where it's like, yeah, you pay me the money, I take you here and you get your footage and you go. Like that's very different to actual access. You know what I'm saying? Like we were not we were you see in our film like we were not on a press tour. So there is a big thing about that. It's like when you see these morons go to like Xinjiang in China and they're like, "Oh, the Uyghur Muslims are not being oppressed. Look
yeah,
what we've seen." And then you find out they were in like walking around in circles in 1 square mile, which is like the only place that the flipping regime there lets them go to. There's a lot of useful idiots out there, and I'm not very impressed by them at all. But I mean, that kind of stuff really pushed me to do away days actually, because I was like, you know what, like we're gonna do our shit properly. We're gonna take you on a real trip to real places and see real people. Not none of this like, you know. Slightly paid for access to somewhere fucking fake. You'll notice if you compare some of these videos, you start seeing like, they're all in the same place. It's like, well, yeah,
oh yeah,
because they all paid the same guy that gave them a fake tour, and they got their views. And to be honest, those people will probably be more successful than I ever will be. But in a world of slop, I don't want to be consumed by it. I want to like kind of swim upstream
yeah,
from
no,
said slop. As I know you do as well. That's why you took a fucking year,
yeah,
making that movie, man. Or that documentary. It's funny. I remember watching your stuff even before I started Popular Front. And I was just like, holy shit, like this is so fascinating to do like this. And then you just see that like even what you're doing has almost been like overshadowed by people being like, Son Piker and Ethan are arguing again. Like, fucking, who gives a fuck? Like
yeah.
it's crazy what does well now on YouTube, man.
I mean, it's all. The way I figure is all mediums are kind of like that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not.
But at
It's
least like
never
I
like.
can say a lot more.
I mean,
Sorry?
Tarkovsky or something is never gonna be as popular or famous as like Michael Bay for like better.
True. We are like Tarkovsky. I agree.
Oh yes, yes. I didn't want to
Yeah.
hold myself up to Tarkovsky's standards, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's
No, I know what you mean.
you just gotta.
No, I know that is true, but like at least like it would get fed to you a bit better on the algorithm. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
think the algorithm wasn't quite as on steroids as it is now, and it's like
the
fuck
algorithm
me, man.
is completely messed up right now.
It's
Definitely.
crazy, man. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's absolutely crazy. Some of the stuff that gets like like I was reading one thing the other day. It was like the science of the biome. Sorry, watching a thing about the biome like in your stomach. And then like all the recommended videos afterwards were like, nah, you're not. And I was like, what? Like, I don't
Yeah.
care. Like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
read about something legit, and then before you
Yeah.
know it, it's like, well, this is tangentially linked, so here's some slop for you. Like I watch boxing and I'm fucking getting fed like Jake Paul stuff. Like the guy's a moron. Like, I don't want to know. The
Mm.
only good thing to come out of it is I find out about the weirdest. Like, have you heard of this guy Johnny Somali or
Yeah.
something like that?
He's not
Yeah,
Somali, by the way.
he's
That's
not. No
no,
way.
no, no. This
He's a
is
liar.
Somalis. Even my mom knows about him. Yeah,
That's
my mom was
crazy.
like texting me like, he's not Somali. He's half Oromo, half Yemeni. Like she's
Really?
she's yeah, she's in like a group chat with other Somali women who are all mad that
She's
this guy's going.
pissed.
Yeah, because like, well, I mean, what do we? It's like we're already pirates, right? Like that's what people know about Somalis.
Well, he even started saying that, right?
Yeah,
like he was a pirate. Like,
yeah, and and then he goes around to, East Asian countries. So let me tell you,
yeah,
if
like
you go to if you go to some hoods and you're a Somali guy, you go into a Korean guy's convenience store, he probably doesn't have the best. He probably doesn't have the best opinion of Somalis already. And then you have this guy named Johnny Somali going around being like, just causing mayhem.
But that's like the only good thing I saw was like I found out like he's in some serious trouble.
He's in serious,
I was like, good, like thank God. The Jack Doherty kid as well. He's like, why do I know who these people are? Then I found out like he's in some bad trouble, and I was like, oh, thank God, there is some justice. That might sound bad mind, but these are like people that need serious correction. You know what I mean? Yeah. Some of it's good though. I watch Turkey Tom, like he's pretty cool. Like he does like actually interesting analysis. He was cool as well. I sent him the doc, man, and he was like, "Oh, the editing's sick, like really nice feedback." Like he was just a down to earth guy. Yeah, really nice guy, man. Yeah. So some of those people are really cool, like Brandon Buckingham, Tommy
Brandon
G.
Buck's very nice, yeah.
All those people, so nice, man. And then, do you know what the funny?
G, but yeah, go ahead.
He's super nice, bro. The funny thing is like these lot have been way more supportive and like I don't know, just ready to listen to like these ideas I have and like what I'm showing them than anyone like in my industry. Like journalism, conventional journalism. I don't think any journalist that I'm like friends with or like have worked with in the past. Not any, but like very few have shared like away days. Even though I've sent it to them, like, please, would really appreciate if you send it. Ignored, and it's like, okay, I'll remember that, But then it's the people
why do you think that
like,
is?
Bro, I don't even know, man. I think there's the British like journalism industry is very bad mind. Like, there's people are like very competitive. I think when I started out, definitely when I was at Vice, I was like this little kind of hoodlum, or they saw me as such. And I think the fact that I've actually been like, well, actually, I can do my own thing. And people were like, at the start, I remember like people that have forgot, they have very short memories themselves. There were people that were sniggering at Popular Front that have since asked to work with me on stuff. And I'm thinking like, bro, I'm petty. I've remembered what you said. You know what I mean? I heard it, like 5 years later and you'll hit me up and I'm like, nah, probably not.
Damn.
But it's one of them things where I'm not bitter by it. It just is what it is, like it's life. And you kind of, if someone doesn't want to share it, fine. It is okay. But my point was, it is interesting that people that like are deemed by the journalism crowd not journalists, no real journalists, no true journalists, like the people that are like deemed as that have been way more supportive to me. And I've always embraced those people. I've said like, why are they not journalists? Like Tommy G, for example, CNN ran some like hit piece on him and saying that, and Brandon Buckingham as well, like, oh, he was filming this place and that. Those guys got way better access than CNN ever got. And they actually ended up, so I can't remember which one it was, but one of them set up like a thing where they were donating money to like a drugs rehabilitability place. Like CNN's not doing that, so it's like, well, who's the real journalist here then? Like who the fuck are they to say? CNN, like Fox News, all those people, like, man, these people are aliens, bro. They're not even from this planet. So that's their whole like industry themselves. And I really want to get away from it, and I think with like away days, that is like, a Popular Front was a big step at redefining what I think it should be. And I think away days is my kind of way of being like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have to do it that way. And there's no point me even trying to appeal to them anymore. It does hurt when like people that you're friends with, like, won't even like watch it. I'm like, hey man, I'm really, I tried really hard on this. Like, I'd really appreciate if you just watch it and tell me what you think. And when they won't even watch it, it's like, it kind of hurts. But at the end of the day, they're probably got like their own issues or whatever. So I don't get bitter about it. But
I just assume
it is weird.
Aren't gonna watch.
Have you felt anything like that? Like, have you felt people get
okay, well, I'll answer that in two parts. Like, I'll work on something for like a year or something, and then I'll expect like 10% to actually watch the thing or even click it, right? And I don't hold that against anybody, right? It's fine, right? But then with the industry split between like traditional documentary people versus wannabe, in their mind, YouTube documentary people, they definitely look down on people who aren't going through the traditional avenue. Even though now this is like, you see Andrew Callahan, HBO went to him to make a documentary, right?
Yeah.
So this is like,
Well,
this is the new way of doing it, you know.
it's not
But
even that new though. Like, you see what you, bro? Have you seen Nick Brumfield? You know that guy, Nick
oh yeah,
Brumfield, the documentary.
yeah, he's been
Bro,
around for
what you're doing is literally the
yeah,
same kind of vibe, like, but just
yeah.
new. Like, it's renewed, you know. Like, what you're doing is exactly documentary, you know. Oh, sorry for using the world's most watched platform to put my film out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
bro, we have a rule, like, we will never enter our film into all of these fucking
You never do a
award
festival?
ceremonies. Fuck that. No.
Yeah.
Why? For someone to not see it for like 2 years while a load of
That's
people in suits like watch it and
that.
judge it? Get the fuck out
I'll
of
tell
here,
you a
man.
story. It was for the Bundy thing. There was this scientist guy, and it was a thing where he said, when I called him when I was in, because I live in Toronto, and I called him in Toronto and I said on the phone, yeah, I'm coming in Nevada. I'd like to interview you for this Bundy thing about the desert tortoise. He's like, okay, sure, come. I went there. Luckily, I had a lot of other people to talk to, but he was supposed to be my main desert tortoise guy. I get there, I call him on the phone, and he goes, "Yeah, I don't do YouTube." I'm like,
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what? Really? He's like, yeah, no, I don't do YouTube. And then it was like just
Wow.
like that. He kind of hung up. And then we found another desert tortoise lady, and she's like, she knew him, and she's like, why wouldn't he do a YouTube video? He does all of the other documentaries, and the only people who see it are at our conventions of like 200 people at these desert tortoise conventions. But yeah, and I thought it would have been fine because he was like a younger guy as well. So I expected him to be like kind of he would get it. But
It's
yeah,
so silly, bro. Like, oh, I don't
yeah,
do the platform that most people in the whole entire world watch.
yeah,
Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, who do you
yeah,
want to see your stuff? You know, like, bro, people don't even watch the news. Like, you know, like
yeah.
it's crazy, man. Like, YouTube is laughing. Unfortunately, like, I do hate it because I think YouTube's kind of it turned a whole generation of people like against being an adult. Like, they have this infantilizing nonsense where you can't even say certain words. Like, you got YouTubers talking in code, you know, about really
Oh
serious
yeah,
issues.
yeah,
You know, like, they can't even say like, oh, like this person self-deleted. Like,
yeah.
what on earth? Like, we are adults. This is outrageous, but it's because of advertising. But I
I
argue that
actually
the
don't
whole
think
like
people even need to do that. Honestly, yeah,
often
they
they
probably
don't. Often they don't. You
there's
know,
other
they really
ways,
don't.
more elegant
They're
ways of saying
scared,
that
bro.
other than self-deleted, which is just like
That is right, actually, yeah. But
like
even so, they're so scared of losing their like revenue or you know losing their
yeah.
income from something they love that they kind of overly self-censor. But I think the problem is though they might need to, they might not on Monday and then they might on Tuesday. You know, like a big
Yeah.
problem we're having with Popular Front is you know we made a film about 2 years ago now in May. The May Day riots in France, and it was all good, and it went out no problem. And then a year later, they
Yeah.
age restricted it, you know, and it's like,
Yeah.
what? A year later, like the doc didn't change, nothing changed, and I appealed it, and they were just like, no. And I was like, why? Like, and it's saying that we're promoting violence, and it's like, right, well, this is very clearly a journalistic work, you know, like people in France were saying it's probably the most fair fucking piece that was done on the riots. I got shot by the cops in it, in the dock. Like, I got shot
Mhm.
with a rubber bullet in the belly. Like, and it's like, what? How closer or realer do you want to get? Like, if that means promoting violence, it's just like, oh, it's basically they
It's
want it to be
all
very boring.
like AI now too. That's just that's
Oh,
looking at
bro, I
stuff.
don't even
It's
like that,
my
man.
my friend, she put out a video recently, and it got age restricted, um, and then she appealed it, and then they were like, we didn't find anything wrong with it, but it's gonna stay age restricted. It's like
Outrageous.
what? It's like what?
That makes my blood boil, man. It's so
It's
unfair.
but this is what you're
It
doing now is you have the raw version of away days, right?
yes,
So this is a
yeah.
smart
So
compromise you've done. When you talk about that.
yeah. No, thanks. I'm glad you asked about that because I forgot about that. Even then we're talking about it. So I kind of learned from Popular Front when I was a little bit younger. Like started Popular Front, I was like 28. You know, still kind of head full of blood still, and I was like, we're not censoring anything. Like fuck that. Like because I'm very anti-censorship. I really believe that even if it's like I just even things that are awful, like that you disagree with, you know, I don't want it to be censored, you know. Like even when I'm doing like okay, like I'm doing an investigation into like neo-Nazis, yeah, because I don't want them to then kill someone, like which the ones that I look into have been doing. But I don't I don't think they should not be allowed to believe it. You know, like they're scumbags and they'll always be my enemy, but I don't think it's a safe society to be like, you're not even allowed to have your own thoughts, you know, like even if they're horrible thoughts, you know. So I'm very anti-censorship. So when I started Popular Front, I was like, fuck that, we're not blurring anything. Da, 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 da. And then like I realized, well, you know, we had 2 documentaries got over 1 million views and we've made no money whatsoever from the YouTube from it, you know, and all of our later docs are just like plummeting into the ground because of obviously there's a black mark on our name. And so I was like, well, I don't want that to happen with Away Days. So there's certain things that are blurred in our docs, and every time something is blurred, it will just say like go to awaydays.tv/raw, and they can just sign up for free. You know, they just put their email in, it's free, and they can watch the uncensored version. Elias, our like web developer, he's a great guy. He's like some fucking genius. He's made it so we've got like our own server. Like, you know, basically it can't be taken down what we put up there. And you know, some of the stuff we have coming up will make the Brazil doc look, you know, we filmed some very hardcore stuff that will have to be blurred for like minutes at a time, maybe on YouTube, just so it doesn't get age restricted. But again, it's like, well, here's the alternative. If you want, you can just sign up. And actually, we've had thousands of people sign up, which I was very surprised. I thought no one's going to come offline or like come off the YouTube video. Thousands of people have signed up for the uncensored, so I'm really appreciative of people doing that. Yeah, it's good, and it's free. It's free. Yeah.
Awesome.
Eventually, I think when we have enough, it will be a good idea for us to monetize that, but only very cheap. You know, I don't want to like charge.
Well, it must be expensive to host videos on another website.
It is.
Right?
It is. But again, we have this lad Elias. He's found like. I would love to try and explain it to you, but I don't even understand it. But he's found like a really good way of doing it where basically we don't use any Amazon things because they charge a fortune. So we found some kind of streaming where with Amazon it would have been like 40 quid a download. And then with this other like random one that we have, it's like less than 10 cents. So like he's saved us so much money, like it's crazy. But I think we will eventually start to charge and be like, hey, like once we've got like 5 or 6, it would make sense to be like, hey, you want to watch all these like uncensored, you're gonna have to give a little bit of dough, you know what I mean? But once we're getting off the ground, I think it should all stay free. And we are filming like extra stuff as well. There'll be loads of like extra documentary stuff that we're gonna put up eventually on the site. But even that, like we wanted to break away from like Patreon or anything like that. We wanted to do our own site and make it look nice and don't have anyone taking a percentage. But again, like it is depressing that you even have to do that, you know, like it's just ridiculous. Like surely you shouldn't have to do that as a grown adult. Like we had to blur like guys smoking spliffs on the YouTube, and some people said, well, you don't have to. Well, I looked deep into the kind of policies, and you might have to. Like it's like maybe it would be fine, but maybe it wouldn't. So I was like, for the sake of it, let's not risk it, you know, so just do it. Ironically enough, though, we can show the guns because they're in context of the report. The reason they are a gang and they have the police out of their favela is because they have the weapons to do so, right? So, but the drug thing seemed to be very, very serious on. Yeah, and then I've already got a bit of a target on my back because, like I said, Popular Front has just been black marked into the ground. So.
Yeah, I've
Also,
for as long as I've known you, you've had issues with, especially YouTube.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
A friend of mine said to me that is a big YouTube channel and does quite controversial. I won't say his name, but he does quite controversial stuff. And he was saying to me, he's like, I don't know anyone that's had the same like direct. It's almost like someone is actually messing with us, you know. And I actually found out on Instagram. So someone from Instagram anonymously contacted me and was like, I just looked into this. There's a guy that has. I don't want to say why, but like very clearly his politics would not align with a certain thing that we were reporting on at the time. And basically our account got closed down 4 times in 1 month and brought back each time. And he just said, look, I've seen this guy doing this every time you post about this. He just removed your account. I've flagged it. That won't happen again. And I thought, yeah, like whatever. And he was right. We never got banned since. So that really shows that, like, I mean, it's obvious, right? You know, Insta said that wouldn't happen. Of course that would happen. You know what I mean? It's human nature, right? Especially in some countries that are like ultra nationalist, and they're going to get very, you know, act like babies when you say anything against their country. So that we've seen like a bit of a target on our back in that sense. Like people have just gone, I don't like them guys. You know, I don't like this. I don't like that. So I don't know. It's stressful, man. And it's like there were points where I was like, I'm just going to give up. But then it's like, you know, you sleep on it and you're like, nah, we can't do that. We gotta keep going. So we found ways around it, but it's becoming increasingly difficult.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you've managed to build popular front. You got Patreon's going well, right?
Patreon does well, yeah. Patreon's a funny thing though because it's very stagnant, if that makes sense. You know, like you might get 10 new subscribers, but then you'll lose 8. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Yes,
Like, so
that's
it's been great. Don't get me wrong. We really do appreciate the Patreon. We put I put a lot of there's like lots of extra stuff on there. You know what I mean? There's a hell
yeah,
of a lot of work goes into making that. Most people that support us there don't really do it just for the stuff. They're just like, we fuck with you, we like what you're doing, and I can afford to help you out. And
yeah,
the bonus, you know, the extra is bonus. But for me, I'm like, well, I want it to be more than that for them. You know, if they, you know, I don't want people to feel like, what the fuck am I paying for here? You know, because that's the way the world works. So it does well, and our merchandise does really well. Like that helps us sell a lot of documentaries, but or go on, you know, film a lot of
yeah,
documentaries. But I really didn't want to like mix the two. So like Popular Front pays for Popular Front. Credit cards pay for away days, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
then we also did we did like a little kind of companion podcast with iHeartRadio as well. So like I was like, look, I've got this thing, away days, it's all on the ground. I'm not gonna ask you guys for any money for like flights and all that because I've already done it. But I want you to let us promote our YouTube if I do a podcast version for you. And we've kind of done that, and it's they did it, no restrictions. They haven't told us to do anything different. So yeah, shout out to them. Like some people are like, why are you working with them? I'm like, they don't editorially control us at all, like not a single
Mm.
thing. There's a lady there, Sophie Lichterman, she's just like absolute legend. Like if anyone tries, she's like, nah, this is staying as it is. So we have that's helped pay for a few things, but even then it's like it's just kind of broke us even. You know what I mean? So but it's better than being in debt. It's better than being in debt, like, you
Yeah,
know.
certainly.
But I mean, we're in debt, but on some we've managed to pay back. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
again, I'm confident it will work. You know, and I didn't want to take no money from like. We got offered a few like, oh yeah, like, but a lot of people liked the idea, even when we were like only filming snippets, and then we were like, we were talking about maybe doing it with this and maybe releasing it through Vice actually, because Vice is like trying to come back, and
Mm.
you know, 2 really good guys there were like helping us with a few bits, and I was like. Me and Johnny were like, fuck that. We've put all this work into it. We're gonna put it out ourselves, you know, for better or worse. And I'm glad we did actually.
So how many episodes is gonna have?
So each series currently will have 3 episodes, which is not a lot, but again, we don't have the money I wanted to do 6, and it's like we don't have money to do 6 straight up. So we're gonna do 3 episodes. We've got Brazil done, that's out. Japan, we filmed, I think, enough for that. We might go back one more time to get some more, but that's about illegal street racing in Japan.
Okay, yeah.
That's going to be one of the episodes. We have one that we're going to film next week, which I want to be really quiet about because we see how it works. It might not work, so I don't want to like,
You're going to film next.
yeah, next
Oh,
week. And if that
okay.
works, that will be out before anything else because it's just such a unique story. Yeah, I'll tell you out off of it. No, it's not like super secret. I just don't want to say something that might not happen. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, yeah, it's
Um,
fine.
yeah. And then we're making one about like the kind of underground kink scene in England, which is like
Interesting.
super weird and like fucking dark and like very hardcore, which honestly it's the first thing that me and Johnny, who I make away days with, it's the first thing that made us feel like uncomfortable. And for that fact, yeah, for that fact, we
Yeah.
were like, we should do this, you know, this really should be done because, you know, we filmed a mad scene, like, man, people are doing some mad stuff, but
Oh,
at the
really?
same time, yeah, but at the same time, we're not like there to judge. We're just the people we've actually met. When you talk to them, they're just super nice people, very like they have their own things, and that's that, you know. And so I think that's the side we want to get. It's also more. It's quite a funny episode, you know. It's
It's
going to be
kind of,
quite
yeah.
funny.
It reminds me
Yeah,
of
there's some really
It's
fun
I'm
people.
thinking Louis Theroux again with like his
Yeah, but
swingers.
like imagine, yeah, exactly. Imagine that, but like 2025 and like everything
Yeah.
is way more hardcore. You know, like
Yeah, yeah.
half of it's gonna be fucking
How are you
censored on
gonna put
YouTube.
that on
Yeah,
YouTube? Yeah,
I
like,
don't know. I don't even know if we will be able to. That might have to be one where we go, look, sorry guys, but you know, you're
yeah,
gonna have to
that's
watch this on the thing. What I
yeah,
want to do is I want to make like a deep website. Like I want people to have to go there to watch it, so it's got this kind of fucked up experience.
that'd be
But the
cool.
streaming rate would be cool, but the trying to watch anything on the deep web takes forever. So
Yeah.
apparently it's very difficult. But yeah, so we got that, and then we've got basically once that's done, we'll kind of reevaluate where we're at, and then we're gonna go and do the second series, which will hopefully will be like another 3 episodes. And then we'll be like, right, where do we go from here? You know, and hopefully by that point we're, you know, things are moving and we've worked it out. But if not, we'll work a way out, you know. But yeah, I like the idea of kind of doing it in, you know, it's modern, it's new, it's on YouTube, but it's in the old format of like releasing episodes via like a series, if you know what I mean. I think you can have a lot of fun with it like that. You know, you can, all series 1 will have a certain aesthetic. Series 2 might have a different aesthetic, you know. It will still be a White Days, but you'll see like, oh yeah, that was from this or that was from that. So, you know, each time we do a different one, I think it can be, you can always do something unique, you know. I think that's the way to keep, you can't just go, this is the style, this works, cool, it works for now, and then it gets copied, and then before you know it, your style looks like everybody, and then you got to keep adapting. So I think having a series based thing is a good way to do it. It might not, you know, it might not, and we might decide to drop that at some point, but you know, we're still learning. Oh, and I have some, like, I spoke to some people as well already that like want to put it on streaming, so that's cool. Like,
Nice.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see
Yeah.
how it goes. I mean, it depends. It might be a thing where they're just trying to like take like a huge percentage, but they seem pretty decent, so we'll see how it goes.
Have you seen the you know the documentary Tickled?
Yes, I watched it. It's so good.
It's so
Yeah.
good. And so the guy who made that also did a Netflix series called Dark Tourist, is also pretty
Oh,
cool.
is that him?
That same guy.
I didn't put the 2 and 2 together. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I remember watching that years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tickled is really, so someone like must have like talked about it on Letterboxd. And I was like, what the fuck? So then I looked at that. I was like, this can't be that good. This sounds ridiculous. And by the end
Yeah.
of it, I was like, wow,
It's
like
insane.
that's like an old school film, man. That's like an
Yeah.
old school documentary, man. That's some real good shit. I love that. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so weird, huh?
It's
So
weird, and
weird.
then but like they get so involved in this, like, you know, trying to get to the bottom of this guy's identity and stuff. But then, you know, years later, I think they're still involved in legal you know, a legal
Really?
squabble with, yeah, it's just, at least last time I checked, they
He's
were,
rich, right? Like he
he's
has so
rich,
much money
yeah.
from his
Yeah.
parents, so he can keep suing everybody.
And then it's like, that's the thing for those guys, like, too, they did it through an Australian media company too. So they were covered by that, right? So if they were just on their own doing that, they will, you know,
That's
they'd be fucked, basically. But
I don't know if there's anything that like we're looking to do where someone would sue us, because like White Days is not like investigative or anything like that. It's just kind of on the ground reporting from the underground. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But if that did happen, yeah, we're fucked.
Well, you
You
just
know,
have
like
to, I think you just have to crowdfund. That's the
yeah,
only thing you
probably.
can do.
Hope. Yeah, exactly. But it would suck so bad to have to crowdfund a load of money that you just have to basically pay to a fucking lawyer. You know what I mean? That would be
Yeah.
so annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but we would be fucked.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
do you have anything else to shout out? Anything that works?
Bro, honestly, just you, man. Like, thanks so much for like
Thanks.
agreeing to do this. Like, you
But
seriously, it really makes a difference to us, man. Like,
I'm a
it's
huge fan.
me as
You
well.
know.
No, likewise, man. It's really cool. Like we were saying before we started, like I was on your fucking stream, like bro, in my old little kitchen, like when I just started Popular Front, I had like some shit like microphones. I couldn't even afford a mic. Like it was crazy, man. So no, I really appreciate it, man. And like everybody that's kind of, it's funny, like you'll see like people pop up all the time on like Twitter or whatever, and you just recognize the little avatar, and they're like always sharing your shit, or they'll comment like, "Yo, been watching you since whenever." And I feel bad because you can't get back to everybody, but it's so nice to see that, you know. You're like, wow, like without that, like you wouldn't be able to make anything, you know. So all those people are really very grateful to. Like that's what I want to make my shit for them, you know. It's that's why I'm so against, like I don't want to go to no fucking festival or like awards circuit. Get the fuck out. Like I make it for that random like sheep avatar guy that is always watching my shit, you know what I mean? So definitely like them kind of people are the best. And yeah, man. I mean, I guess like my only question to you is, do you know what you're doing next? Like, I'm super interested to know.
Ooh. Well, I mean, I've
Do you
been
have
working
any
on a
idea?
video. I'm working. You know the Weather Underground?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like
Yeah.
weird kind of. It came out of
Yeah.
the Socialist Student Network or something.
Yeah. The SDS, the students for
SDS. Yeah.
the Students for Democratic Society, and then they basically they were a splinter group from that, and then they started bombing government buildings stuff. They wanted to
Weren't they like really wealthy as well? They were
were
like from really
all
rich
super
backgrounds.
rich. Yeah, super rich.
But they actually did the
Ivy
work.
League.
Like they actually went in.
Well, yeah, they bombed bathrooms. At first, they wanted. I mean, their whole thing was like they wanted to usher in the revolution. They wanted to be the vanguard that ushers in the revolution and basically helps the black people in particular, black Americans and working class whites, and start a revolution like Che Guevara did in Cuba. And
Very
Fidel
Fred
Castro did.
Hampton.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
they, you know, at first they were saying they were going to kill people. They said then they didn't actually kill anybody, but they were very willing to at first. And then they started just bombing targets that were empty, and they always targeted washrooms.
Yeah.
Right? So they would call in beforehand to stay clear out the building, and then bomb the washroom at like 1 a.m. So they did that at the Pentagon, Capitol. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a book. I can't remember what it's called, but it covers them a lot. But it's by a reporter that like. That's it, yeah. But the reporter kind of like he's kind of gargling the establishment. You know what I mean? So it's a tricky one, but there's some really good details in there. Definitely. Have you ever heard of the
Yeah, go ahead.
Huh?
He's good. Yeah, I mean that book is good. He uncovered
it is good.
a lot of stuff.
It is good, but some of it is a bit like I feel like he's fucking calling up the FBI. Like, thanks, guys. But have you ever heard of the Angry Brigade?
No.
Bro, they were an English militant group. Literally such a British name, like the Angry Brigade.
Yeah.
And it was basically like a load of rich kids, but then like a few like normal like working class guys that went and like fucking put like bombs on the doorsteps of like politicians and shit in London, and like it was actually pretty crazy. I think they did like maybe a car bombing or something.
Did they
and then like
people?
I think they did. Yeah, I think they might have killed someone. And then I think like years later, one of the like guys that was from like, you know, a very like lower class, like socioeconomic background, he was just like, yeah, I did all the fucking work. And all the rich kids just talked all day about theory. He was like, fuck them. It was super funny. Yeah. There's a really good book though. It's just called The Angry Brigade. Yeah.
There's a similar thing in the Weather Underground. It was one guy who knew how to work with his hands, and
Bob or something, right?
Say it again.
Was his name Bob or something like that?
It is I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
I remember, yeah. I know who you mean.
Yeah, he was the one guy, but his dad was a doctor, so he did come from like a certain amount of wealth, but I mean compared to Bill Ayers, who was like one of the leads of the Weather Underground, like that guy's dad was like was an energy executive. So
yeah,
you know,
don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't care about it. It's like cool if your parents are from wherever. Who cares? It's not a bad thing. I just find it quite like. I don't know, like
there's
sometimes
a certain corniness about them where it's like they
because
they're like
fuck you, dad. Fuck
yeah,
you, dad.
It's totally that. You know? And then they were like literally they were like first they joked that to be part of our group means that your parents make more than $1 million a year adjusted for inflation, because they said
that's probably real though.
Yeah, it's real. And then, but then later they're like, we're going to kill the rich. And someone's like, aren't your parents all rich? And they go, yeah, we're going to kill our parents. It's like, yeah.
It's like Hassan that wears that t-shirt. He's like, make the rich pay, whilst he has like a Porsche and like a £2 million mansion. He's like, well, but actually there's no correct way to live under capitalism. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Like just be like, yeah, I like money. Like, it's fine. You know, just stop it. It's so funny, man.
I don't like that guy at
all. It sucks, bro.
He sucks. The only reason I dislike Hassan too, though, is because he watched my John McAfee series on his live stream, and then the whole time he was just talking shit about it, and he was like, "Oh, he stole this from HBO," and it was like he's watching my interviews, like yeah, and I say it in the video. This guy reached out to me on Instagram, and I interviewed him. This is John McAfee's supposed hitman, right? And then Hassan's watching. He's like, "Oh, he stole this all from HBO," and I'm like, "Oh my god." Yeah.
He has this quality, like, well, it's a very bad quality. He's like a catty, bitchy person, but he's like a grown man, and it's like he's got this kind of like cattiness of like kind of, I don't know, like a very like angry school, like high school student, you know what I mean? He has that like everything that he didn't do is shit, and like he doesn't make anything. That's the thing. It's like what did you do today? A fucking stream. But the irony is he's rich. Like, you know, like
Yeah, he's rich.
I reckon yeah, he's rich. Like
You
it's
should
like fair
try.
enough.
You should try this.
Whatever.
You just
Yeah,
sit there.
basically. Like,
Yeah.
you should have like the most basic fucking internet slop ideology, like, you know, like fucking university book club ideology, and then like dress like Bart Simpson, and then
Yeah.
you'll be rich. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy, man. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's the same on both sides. I mean, you got that other idiot, like what's his name? Tim Pool. He's like the
Oh yeah.
fucking I think he's like the reverse, you know, of Hassan. Like, I would argue he's even probably more stupid. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be funny. It'd be funny to see them in a fight to the death. that
I
would be
watched,
great.
yes.
Yeah,
I
fuck.
watched this guy. He was talking about Tim Pool because Tim Pool tried to get in on skateboarding, and there's
Oh, I
this guy,
saw it.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
this guy who made this really good series, Gifted Hater, and he talks.
Oh
all
yeah, I
about-
watch him. Yeah.
It was so good.
Josiah or something. Yeah,
It's so funny, yeah. But Tim Pool is like, you know, the whole point of skateboarding is to be countercultural, you know, anti-establishment, and Tim Pool is coming in like just trying to throw around, you know, his millions or whatever, and it's like, no, you're not.
And he was
cool.
like, "Where's my lawyer?" Like,
Yeah.
he's like, fuck. I'll tell you something funny, man. He might fucking sue me for this, but when I worked at Vice, I was never involved in it. But when I worked at Vice, there was a game called A Dip in the Pool, where people in the US office would just CC him into random email chains that were nothing to do with him. And the replies were just so funny. Like, he was so confused all the time. Like, it was
Oh my
so
God.
fucking funny, man. Yeah, it was great, man. Yeah, I mean, again, we're laughing, but like, yeah, they got the money. So fuck them.
Yeah.
You know, they probably get us killed for this. You know, they probably could as well.
Yeah.
Got like
Well-
Hassan at my house with like 15 shell bracelets or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck. This is it's always a good time talking to you. And I can't
Thanks,
wait
man.
for the rest of
Appreciate
the
it.
can't wait for the rest of the series.
Cool, man. Reach out if you need anything, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I'll have more questions for you for sure. You know.
No worries, bro. What should I do? Just wait or disconnect?
No, I'm just gonna stop the stream. I'm gonna.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Everybody, thank you. Thank you for the super chat from Kowalchuk. I'm rooting for Oki. Go Oki. Thank you. All right, and everybody else, thank you for being here. Thank you, Curtis, for helping me set up, and thank you, Jake, for you know, participating.
Thanks for having me,
talking
man.
to me. Yeah. All right.
Thanks, bro.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.